Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hello, Brian. How are you?
Good, thanks,
Is everyone
Rabbi.
well?
Thank you.
Guys, you have the Hagadah. I think that it's very important to have the Hagadah and to write notes. Hello, Marky. How are you?
Rob. Getting there, Rob. Getting there. Yeah, thank you. How are you, Rob?
Got my regards. I saw your message
I
today.
did. Thank you.
Good. Good. I missed you yesterday.
Yep. Sorry, Rob.
No, I understand. Okay. Guys, I think if you want to write notes, it's very important because what we're going to do tonight, I'm going to do commentary on Hagadah, and I think that it's very important if you take the Hagadah with you and you can write some notes on a piece of paper, so you can say those hidushim. So that's what we're going to do tonight. I'm just going to mute everyone. So it's going to be okay. Jeffrey, don't forget to unmute yourself when you're ready. Okay, so בעזרת השם נעשה ונצליח, והשם עלינו ברחמיו וירוויח. I would like to dedicate the show tonight in honor of Esther Kaden Bat Ketia, Mordechai ben Rahma, Harav Avraham Chaim ben Eliezer Yaakov, Tamar Bat Zehava, Yaakov Salomon ben Farha, Dvorah Ruth Bat Beila, Shosha Blima Bat Mordechai, בצלאל, מרים, בת משה, מלכה רג'ינה, בת ג'ויה, קטי גורג'יה, בת פרחה. נשמתם תהיה צרורה בצור החיים. I also would like to dedicate the show in health of ליאורה בת מרים, מנשה נג'י בן פרחה, הרב אברהם בן מרימה, הרב שלמה יהודה בן דליה, הרב משה בן דבורה, הרב משה בן בהיה בתיה, דבורה בת אסתר, חיה מרים בת רחל, אורנה בלומה בת מרים, שיינה קיילה בת חנה, מרדכי דוד בן לאה, צבי בן חווה, ברוך בן שרה, חיים נחום בן צבי הכהן, שמואל מאיר בן שושה בלימה, מרים בת זלדה ליבה, משה אברהם בן חנה ריבה, יהודית בת ריקה, חיה ציפורה בת רחל, איילה עדן בת רבקה, וטובה ליבה בת רחל, וכל שאר חולי ופצועי עמו ישראל בכל מקום שהם. אוקיי. בעזרת השם נעשה ונצליח, והשם עלינו ברחמיו ירוויח. I would like to start with the verse that speak Vehi Sheamda. In this Hagadah, the art scroll Hagadah that you see in the front, it's in page 30. There is a verse that we read in Pesach in the Seder night, and it says like this, Vehi Sheamda לאבותינו ולנו, שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו, אלא שבכל דור ודור עומדים עלינו לכלותנו, והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מידם. בכבוד, ג'פרי.
It is this that has stood by our fathers and us. For not only has one risen against us to annihilate us, but in every generation they rise up against us to annihilate us. But the Holy One, blessed is he, rescues up us from their hand.
Okay, so here we see something very interesting, Rabotai, and I want to share with you the idea. I'm going to bring different ideas tonight, some of them the Zera Shimshon, some of them the Or HaChaim HaKadosh. The first interpretation that we're going to bring on that verse, it's going to be from the Zera Shimshon, that's the great Kabbalistic Rabbi Shimshon Haim Nachmani. As you all know, he born in the city of Modena 317 years ago in north of Italy. And he said that actually from that verse, that Vehi Sheamda la'avotenu velanu, that it was this that stood to us and to our fathers. Okay, he referring to Egypt. But we'll see that it's not only in Egypt. We will develop that discussion soon. He said that, as a matter of fact, it sounds like in every generation, those that hate the Jewish people, trying to annihilate the Jewish people, okay? But because the Almighty promised Abraham Avinu in the covenant of the part, that means Brit Ben Abetarim, he redeemed us from their hand. That means he rescued us from their hand. Come the Zera Shimshon, and he asked very valid question. Why it says Shebechol Dor Vador? He should say, although that in every generation, there's those that try to annihilate the Jewish people, HaKadosh Baruch Hu rescue the Jewish people from their hand. Why doesn't say Ado that in every generation? Why it says Shebechol Dor Vador, in every generation? Said the Zera Shimshon, to understand that, I'll tell you what you have to first of all understand. In a book of the Judges, okay, it says in chapter 5, verse 11, Tzitkat Pazrenu B'Israel. What does it mean? What is the prophet trying to tell us? And we'll understand. Chazal tell us in the Gemara in Masechet Psachim, in page 87, folio 2, Chazal tell us that a matter of fact, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu have mercy and compassion on us, and he done kindness with the Jewish people, that he spread the Jewish people all over the world, on all different countries. What we see today, that is in every nook in the world, there is Jewish people. You're not going to find one place that is no Jews. Say Hazal in the Gemara, a matter of fact, HaKadosh Baruch Hu have mercy and compassion and kindness to the Jewish people. By that he spread them all over the world. Why? He said that you see that all over the world, today people hate us. And they want to annihilate the Jewish people. And he said that here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu done kindness with us. By that he spread us all over the world, there is certain countries that want to annihilate the Jewish people. HaKadosh Baruch Hu have compassion and mercy on the Jewish people and kindness. He spread us all over. Why? So they cannot annihilate the Jewish people. That Hazal in the Gemara. Come the Zera Shimshon and say, in a matter of fact, in reality, as you look, all the nation hate the Jewish people. Where is the source to it? Look at United Nations. United Nations is so biased. Look what's happening between Russia and what's happening in, what is name? The Russian and the war that they have with Ukraine. No one speak about it. Look what's happening all over the world. For example, China, that they have slave king. No one speak about it. What are they focusing? They're only focusing about the Jewish people. God forbid the Jewish people have to defend themselves, okay, against terrorists, okay? All the United Nations. What did they say? The Jewish people, you know, they have to go to court. And said the Zera Shimshon, I want to tell you something. It's very simple. You must understand that there's no nation that really inside them that they like us. They don't like us. But by that HaKadosh Baruch Hu spread us all over different nations. This nation saying, listen, it's not respectable for us to show that we want to kill them. Why? Because if we say that we're going to kill them, what the world going to say about us? It's not nice. For example, we saw it originally in Germany, that there was very, very nice people, very quiet, to speak very soft. They're very intellectual people, you know, they go to listen to, classic music and etc. But you just given them the chance. And when the devil came out of the closet, we saw 6 million Jews disappear. Said the Zera Shimshon, that's exactly it. Everyone hates us. Don't kid yourself for a second. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu have mercy on us that he spread us all over, so they can't destroy us. Let's continue in the same verse. It says, "Shebechol dor v'dor," in every generation, okay, there is those that against us. And a matter of fact, it sounds a bit worrying. What? In every generation, people want to destroy us, to kill us? Yes. But what is the covenant that was between Abraham Avinu and the Almighty? Why is that? It sounds here like Chas v'Shalom, it's not such a great thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised, okay, Abraham Avinu, that he will guard us, he will protect us, he will rescue us from those. Why couldn't, some of the Mefarshim ask, can make that no one will hate us? I saw a beautiful Hidush that many of the Mefarshim bring, and also the Zera Shimshon. And the Zera Shimshon explained it like this. It said, by that it said in every generation, okay? In every generation, there is those that rise, that try to annihilate the Jewish people. It all depends on us. And he explained like this. He said, when the Jewish people keeping mitzvot, following the Torah, no one can touch them. But you know when's the problem come? That there is certain people try to be like the Goyim, try to adopt their custom, try to be like them. And that's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a matter of fact, have mercy and compassion on us and kindness. What does he do? He bringing anti-Semitism against the Jewish people. So the Goyim push us aside, that we're not going to assimilate with the Gentile. Said the Zera Shimshon, by that the Jewish people suddenly realize that there is anti-Semitism against them. It's for the simple reason, sorry, they have to understand it's for the simple reason because they try to behave like the Goyim. So to stop that assimilation, what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? He bringing anti-Semitism. So the dose of the anti-Semitism against the Jews, a matter of fact, it's an anti-dose for us not to be wiped off the world. Because, said the Zera Shimshon, think about it. If the Jewish people are going to get assimilated with other nations and they adopt their custom, what's happened with the Jewish religion? What's going to happen to our beautiful religion if we're going to get assimilated with other nations? So to stop that, sorry. So to stop that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a matter of fact, what is he done? What HaKadosh Baruch Hu done? He done to us a favor, that he bring anti-Semitism to the world. So from here we learn that, said the Zera Shimshon, a very important thing. When the Jewish people keep the mitzvot and follow the Torah of the Almighty, they have nothing to worry because no one can harm them. When is the problem come? That when we try to adopt other religion and to fit with our religion. And that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu not going to allow. And that's what it said, Vehi Sheamda. So when we read in Hagadah, Vehi Sheamda, okay, and it is this that stood for the Jewish people, okay, to us, to our fathers, we have to understand that here the Hagadah tried to tell us something extraordinary. You know who wrote the Hagadah? Rabbi Yohanan ben Zakkai, just for general knowledge. So Rabbi Yohanan ben Zakkai tried to tell us, remember what's happened in Egypt. When you was in Egypt, the Egyptians loved you. As long that you tried, you kept away from them. You didn't try to assimilate with them. You didn't try to be Egyptian. And the moment that the Jewish people become like the Egyptian, behave like them, worshipping idols and etc., HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought hatred into them. What's happened with that hatred? we saw that we become slave. And that's what say the Zera Shimshon, that the Hagadah here tell us how much we have to be careful not to try to be like other nations. We have to keep our tradition, our Masoret. Masoret is a tradition, to make sure that we keep the mitzvot. We should be proud with what we got. Many of the other nations jealous of us because they didn't get it. And that's why they hate us. But as long that we keep our Torah, mitzvot, and we be proud with our tradition, HaKadosh Baruch Hu guarantee us, where is it? In Brit Ben Abitarim, no one can do anything to us. But if Has v'Shalom, we try to be like them, HaKadosh Baruch Hu have the antidote. And the antidote is anti-Semitism. And I think that's the idea behind what the Zera Shimshon tried to explain to us here. I would like to move on to page, I think, 40 on those, let me just make sure. 40, no, it's not 40, it's in page 42 in those Hagadah. In page 42, it speaks about Rabban Gamliel. And Rabban Gamliel says something very interesting, that we read it every Pesach, and let's try to understand what's hiding behind it. I'm going to read it in Hebrew, and then our friend Jeffrey going to read it in English. רבן גמליאל היה אומר, כל שלא אמר שלושה דברים אלה בפסח, לא יצא ידי חובה, ואלו הם, פסח, מצה ומרור.
Rabbi Gamliel used to say, whoever has not explained the following three things on Pesach has not fulfilled his duty, namely Pesach, the Passover offering, matzah, the unleavened bread, and maror, the bitter herbs.
Okay. Rabotai, if you look at what Rabban Gamliel tell us, it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting. And if you look at the order, it's a backwards, because it should be said, the Zera Shimshon, look at the order. First of all, look at the order. He said that should be first maror, because the Jewish people was in slavery. After that, should be Pesach. Pesach should be in the middle. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu passed over the Jewish people's houses when he hit the Egyptian houses. And last should be the matzah, because they was in a hurry to leave. They didn't have enough time to bake the bread, so it was unleavened bread. Come to Zera Shimshon and say, why is the order backward? It's not the right order. Should be the order first maror, then should be Pesach, and then should be matzah. But we see that the order is not. The order is Pesach, matzah, and maror. What's happening here? Why is the order that when Rabban Yohanan ben Zakkai wrote the Hagadah, why he didn't wrote it in a proper order that was happened in Egypt? First, the Jewish people was in slavery. That's the better. Okay, that's the maror. Then the Jewish people been redeemed by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, by that he passed over the Jewish house when he hit the house of the Egyptian. And the last thing should be matzah. Why is the order not like this? So I saw a beautiful commentary that brought by the Zera Shimshon. And he explained that the main reason for that order, you have to understand that in reality, that Bnei Israel was supposed to be in Egypt for 400 years. We know that the Jewish people left after 210 years. Why is it? Because when the Jewish people was in Egypt, they reached the 49 level of impurity. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew, if I'm going to leave them one more second, they're going to enter the 50th level of impurity, and then I can't redeem them. And that's Shara Emunah. That means the gate believing in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? Immediately after 210 years of exile in Egypt, he redeemed the Jewish people. Okay? After that, we know that the Jewish people, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Avraham Avinu, listen, they are supposed to be 400 years in slavery, said the Zerah Shimshon, from here you learn. Nachon, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu redeemed us, and that's the Pesach, that he passed over. That we say Matzah, he had to take us quickly out of Egypt. Why? Because if you would leave us one more second, he would never be able to redeem us. So what's happened? HaKadosh Baruch Hu redeemed us after 207 years, 210 years. Left another 190. Said the Zerah Shimshon, by that HaKadosh Baruch Hu took us from Egypt before time, that's what caused all the exile. And that's why the Maror come last, because we never finish with the bitter. We still have until today all of those bitterness, all of those slavery. If it's arting, in my opinion, we're still in slavery in Eretz Israel, because the states dictate what we can do, when can we do, and what to do. If we want to build a settlement, the states tell us if we can do or not. And if we want to strike Gaza, there is a lot of pressure from the American not to strike. We want to do certain operation, the states tell us what to do. That's to show us that we're not really free. Number two, slavery. We see that the Jewish suffering, the Jewish people suffering. We saw what's happening in Eretz Israel. We saw all over the anti-Semitism. Said the Zerah Shimshon, you know, now you can understand why is that order that Rabban Yohanan ben Zakkai wrote it. Not that we left quickly. We left before time, after 210 years. But the bitterness never finished. So that's the reason, because we're still in exile. We still, the Mashiach didn't come. HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't build his beautiful Bet HaMikdash, that he can dwell inside each one of us. He said, because of that, it's still in the end the Maror. What it means Maror? Because we still, as long the Mashiach doesn't come, we still have bitterness. That means we still, number one, we're not free, we're not independent. Number three, we're still suffering. And that's, said the Zerah Shimshon, you have to understand why are you still saying Pesach, Matzah, Maror. Maror, that bitterness never finished. So we have to understand that the main reason for it is because we left early from Egypt. And because we left early from Egypt, we have to fulfill another 190 years of exile. What does it mean? I'm not sure, but we were supposed to be in hard slavery for 190. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu spread it because he saw that if he's going to leave us a little bit more in Egypt, not going to be any more Jewish nation. Said the Zerah Shimshon, now you understand the order that Rabban Gamliel used to say, Pesach, Matzah, Maror. Okay, so here we understand why Pesach, Matzah, and Maror. I would like to go now to the Korech. Korech can be found in page 50. And we have to understand what's happening there. Again, page 50. And I'm going to read it in Hebrew, and then we're going to explain what's happening. Zecher LaMikdash. כן עשה הלל בזמן שבית המקדש היה קיים. היה כורך פסח, מצה ומרור ואוכל ביחד, לקיים מה שנאמר על מצות או מרורים יאכלו.
In remembrance of the temple, we do as Hillel did in temple times. He would combine Passover offering, matzah and maror, in a sandwich and eat them together to fulfill what is written in the Torah. They shall eat it with matzahs and bitter herbs.
Here we see something very interesting, that the Hagadah tell us that Hillel HaZaken. First of all, I want to bring you a bit of history about Hillel HaZaken so you'll understand what we're talking. Hillel HaZaken, he born in Babylon, okay? He born 113 years before the Common Era in Babylon, okay? He was in the age of 40 when he left Babylon and he gone to Eretz Israel. I mean, he lived 100 years before the destruction of the Second Temple, and he lived for 120 years, okay? He was the head of the Sanhedrin, okay, during the time of the Second Temple, and he used to have a custom that when Bet HaMikdash was exist, Rabotai, they used to bring the Korban Pesach, the offering of the Pesach. And they used to put lamb on a spit, okay? They used to braai it, okay? Barbecue it. And then Hillel used to eat the Korban Pesach with a matzah and with a bitter and with a harosket. That was his custom, okay? So far, we're explaining what Hillel used to do. So remember, he used to take the lamb, that's Korban Pesach, he used to take the matzah and the maror together, and he used to make like a sandwich, and he used to eat it. And that's what we call today, many people call it, the Hillel sandwich, okay? Come Rabbi Haim ben Attar. Rabbi Haim ben Attar, born in the city of Sali in Morocco. He born around 329 years ago. And he explained that, a matter of fact, there's those three things that we see here, that there is Pesach, we're going to explain them, Matzah and Maror, those three items, it's actually symboling and hinting to us about all the miracle that HaKadosh Baruch Hu done to the children of Israel in Egypt. And if one of them wasn't there, all the story of the Exodus of Mitzrayim couldn't happen. That means if Pesach, we'll explain soon what is it, Matzah and Maror, if any one of those miracles wasn't there, Hakadosh Baruch Hu couldn't redeem the Jewish people. That means the Jewish people will stay in Egypt. And what does it mean? So let's explain, first of all, what's happening. The Pesach is, we know that Hakadosh Baruch Hu passed over the house of the Jewish people when he hit the plague of the firstborn in Egypt. That means that the firstborn of the Jewish people, Kadosh Baruch Hu didn't touch them. Why? But that we put the blood on a doorpost, as we know. Okay? So say that the main reason for the exile, to get out of exile, was Pesach, Milshon Pesach. The Kadosh Baruch Hu passed over. The matzah, what is the matzah? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu took us in a hurry out of Egypt because he saw to what level of impurity Bnei Israel reached. Because he knew that if another more second, Has v'shalom, the Jewish people will stay in Egypt, he couldn't redeem us, because then we'll enter, as the mystical rabbi explained, Sha'ar Emunah. What is Sha'ar Emunah? Sha'ar Emunah is the gate of believing. And if we wouldn't believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's no reason to be redeemed. So why to be the nation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw that we reached to such a lower level in Egypt that we start to believe in idols. And he knew if another moment he's going to leave the Jewish people in that country that's full of idols and immorality, there's no hope for the Jewish people. So what has he done? Immediately he took us. And that's the unleavened bread. And that's the matzah. That they cook it and they didn't have a chance to let it rise. The third thing is the hard work, maror. We know that all the hard slavery that the Jewish people have to put us as a slave, all the hard work that we're going to read in the Hagadah, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to explain what it means, avodat parech. What it means, avodat parech, if that's the thing. There's many interpretations to the word avodat parech, hard work. One say that how is the Egyptian managed to convince the Jewish people, and I said the Jewish people, Bnei Israel, to come to be slave. So Pharaoh came to the Jewish people and he said to them, listen, I need people to help me to build the city of Sodom, not Sodom, Pitom and Ramses. And every day they used to build it. And what used to happen in the following morning when they come? It all got destroyed, nothing left. That means HaKadosh Baruch Hu make miracle that none of those cities that Bnei Israel built got exist. They're building it today, the following morning they come, see everything disappear. And that was avodat pareh. That was the miracle. Said the Zerashed, said the Or HaChaim HaKadosh something shortly. He said that if one of those elements was missing, the fast that HaKadosh Baruch Hu passed over the house of the Jewish people, the matzah, the hurry up to take us from Egypt, the hard slavery that Bnei Israel have to go through Egypt. Why did they go to hard slavery? Here come the cherry on the top. Said the Zera Shimshon, said the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, it's because the Jewish people have to refine the holy soul that was in Egypt. What holy soul? What is he talking? So the mystical rabbi explained like this. When Adam HaRishon, after he sinned, eating from the tree of knowledge, he separated himself from Hava for 130 years. And he gone to Nahal Gihon. He sit in Nahal Gihon, and when he was there, lo alenu, it was a problem. What was the problem? Because he didn't been with his wife, and he wasted sperm. And those sperm spread all over the world. Those souls that been sprayed by Adam HaRishon now have to be collected by who? By Bnei Israel. How do you bring those souls back to where to belong? Said the Mekubalim, the Jewish people have to go to that country to be in slavery and to refine those holy souls, to take them out of Egypt. To prove it, we know that in Makat Hoshech, we explain more than 80%, Rabotai, of Bnei Israel died in Egypt. Because we said that there was wicked, they didn't want to leave Egypt. That's the pshat of the dvarim. What it means wicked, they didn't want to leave Egypt. It's not that they just didn't want to leave the country that called Egypt. They didn't want to leave the custom of Egypt, worshipping idols. All of the immorality that was in Egypt. All of those 49 level of impurity, they was happy with that. Kadosh Baruch Hu said, no problem. We know that they all died. But what about the rest of the holy nation? Say, Or HaChaim HaKadosh, that's the main reason that Bnei Israel have to go to Egypt. When they go to Egypt, they refine that holy soul, okay? And you have to take them out. And now that they refine them, when they left Egypt, if you look, as the prophet said, Asua kem tzuda she'em badagim. They made her like a pool, okay, or like a pond, the right word to say, that doesn't have any fish. That means that Egypt disappeared. Nothing left from the Egyptian, from that nation. Today we have a country that's called Egypt, but they, Muslim, they're not idol worshippers like was in the time of Pharaoh. That's what we have to understand. Come the Or HaChaim HaKadosh and tell us something extraordinary. He said that if you take each one of those three things that Hillel used to do, it's come to hint to us. Without the Pesach, without the Matzah, without the Maror, okay, the exodus of the Jewish people from the land of Egypt will never be happen. Why? Because each one of those elements bond to another element. Without one of them, it couldn't exist. Say, Or HaChaim HaKadosh, Rabbi Chaim ben Arta. Now you understand what Hillel tried to tell us. By that he used to eat the matzah, okay? By that he used to eat the matzah, okay? With the maror, with the korban Pesach, that means the Pesach, that's the korban, the matzah and the maror together, he tried to tell us, to explain to us, that you have to understand what happened in Egypt. Without any one of those things, without any matzah, or without the better life that they have in Egypt, or without the hurry up, or the quick way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu redeemed us from Egypt, took us out of Egypt, we couldn't have the exodus of Egypt. Said the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, from here you learn that when you sit on Pesach night, and we say Pesach Matzah Maror, and when we eat that sandwich that Hillel used to do, you have to remember, you have to think what's hiding behind that element. That's fundamental idea that you have to remember, that you go into slavery, you have to refine the holy soul that left from Adam HaRishon. The matzah, it's because if I would leave you there, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, for one more second, I lost my nation. The Pesach, that's the main redemption. By that HaKadosh Baruch Hu passed over the houses of the Jewish people. But not only that. Why do we eat the lamb? Because the fundamental idea behind the lamb was that the Egyptian worshipped the lamb. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I want you to eat the Pesach. Why first the Pesach? Because I want to eliminate the belief from the idol, as the Egyptian believed that the lamb is their God. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to eliminate those things. With all of those three things, that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu put them together, and Hillel make from it a sandwich, to remind us without any one of those three elements, the redemption of the Jewish people could not happen. And I think, in my opinion, okay, that's not Or HaChaim HaKadosh. Why did he say Pesach first? Because the first thing, what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu told the Jewish people? Take a lamb, tie it to your bed. Why? because the Egyptian belief, one of their belief was that the lamb is their God. By that they managed to tie it to their bed, and the lamb couldn't, sorry, I'm just trying to put my charger. By that the lamb couldn't help them, couldn't release himself. Here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu eliminates the belief that the lamb is a god. Number two, the Egyptians saw their God tying to their bed. They didn't do nothing. It's to build the emunah in the Jewish people that the lamb is not God. It's idols. Why are you worshiping him? He can't do nothing. You, as a human being, tie him to the bed. You can't release him. After that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell the children of Israel, take that lamb, shecht it, and make from it a barbecue. And that's, in my opinion, my humble opinion, why the Pesach come first. Because the first thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to do is to eliminate the idea of Avodah Zarah from the children of Israel and Egypt. So Be'ezrat Hashem, that I hope that you wrote all of those Hidushim. I know that they're a bit depths. Usually I've never done Hidushim in these depths. But I think that we reached to a level that we, in Pesach, you can give those new ideas on a Pesach Seder to those that you're going to spend the Pesach with them. Now it's time for Be'ezrat Hashem for question. If you have any question regarding the Hagadah, Bechavod, I'll try if I can. If you want to ask question, don't forget to unmute yourself. Any question? No question. Wow. Okay. No question at all regarding the Hagadah. Okay. So, Rabotai, I would like to take the opportunity to wish all of you, first of all, a beautiful week. Those of you that are going to work tomorrow, please be careful. There's certain places that you should not be. From what I saw that they advertise, it's not good to be, especially on a highway by Soweto or anyone of close to the township. Weinberg is one of the places that it's not safe to be there. Those of you that drive to work, drive safely.
Sorry, Rav.
Jeffrey, yes, Jeffrey,
I
you want to ask
I
questions?
just waited to we mentioned very clearly that we left after 210 years, and you mentioned the reason for it, and well, why? Zera Shimson asked the order, and they were left in 210 years because we couldn't wait any longer because of our level of impurity of 49. But there is still another 190 years of hard labor that was told we were going to have, or we were going to have slavery. So how is this going to be made up? Has it already been made up now, up to our lifetime, or is it still to come?
I hope that it's going to be soon. I don't, Hazal and the Gemara say, you should not speak about, don't try to speak about the Mashiach coming. Just ask for the Mashiach to come. Please God, it will come in our days. But Hazal tell us, Bashvi'it kolot, in 7 years, you're going to hear the sound of shofar. Okay, that's we now in 8 years. Why? Because we know last year was the Shemitah year. You remember?
Yes.
Now in Shana Shminit, the 8 years that it's Herut, we're going to Herut. Please God that Kadosh Baruch Hu redeemed Bnei Israel in Egypt, from Egypt in the month of Nisan. Benisan nigalu, Benisan atidim ligael. That's the Gemara in Masechet Pesachim. Benisan nigalu, in the month of Nisan, Kadosh Baruch Hu redeemed the children of Israel. Benisan atidim ligael. So Be'ezrat Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu redeemed us. I would like to say that all of those hard lives that we're having during all of those years since the exile of Mitzrayim, we saw that we have different exile. We had 5 exiles, and each one of them was a very difficult exile. Very difficult exile. And I would like to think, and I would like to believe that we'll see Mashiach, please God, the same like Hakadosh Baruch Hu redeemed the children of Israel in Nisan, he will redeem us. So those 190 years, I'm sure that each one of you would love to believe that's been taken during those years, and Hakadosh Baruch Hu will send us Mashiach speedily in our day. Amen. Ken Yeh Ratzon. You follow, Jeffrey?
Yes. One other question. We can't. How can we? We can't be in 2 states at the same time. How are we? We're in exile and we're in slavery. You're either enslaved in Egypt or you came out into exile. We're slavery at home. We were kicked out into the world. Here we got a slavery at home. We have state slavery. So we are actually in slavery and home, and we're still in exile. We're still in the 2. We're both.
But it's happened. But Jeffrey, you have to understand, it's happened to the Jewish people during the exile of Babel. You remember? When the Babylonians came to Israel, they took over Israel.
Yeah.
The Greek was in Israel. Okay? That was 250 years later, after the miracle of Purim, happened another thing. What was? That the Greek was the empire of the world in that time.
Yeah.
And the Jewish people was in the land of Eretz Israel.
Yeah.
Okay, we was in our land. But we was in exile because the Greek told us you can't study Torah, you can't do Brit Milah, you can't count the Chodesh, you can't keep the purity of the wife, can't keep Nida. So we was in exile. It doesn't contradict one each other. Yes, we was in the land of Eretz Israel, but came the Greek that Hakadosh Baruch Hu sent, and they told us what to do. And that's what we see today. I mean, the Jewish people was, for example, in the land of Eretz Israel. My mother born in 1940. She have on her ID, born in Palestine. My grandfather was there when the Turk was there, my great-grandfather.
Yeah, Ottoman.
The Ottoman, no?
Mm-hmm.
And they told us what to do. So what's the idea? We can be in Eretz Israel, we can have our land, we can settle in our land, but these other people control it. In Honda today, we have independent, what we didn't have then. But that's independent. If you're telling me where I can build settlement, what I can do, you know, I mean, what kind of independent I have?
Correct.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we still kind of a slavery somewhere along the line. That Mr. Biden tell us what to do, Obama or the other cowboy, you know, they all tell us what to do.
Yeah. The PLA tell us what to do. The PLA tell us what to do. The Iran's trying to tell us what to do. They're all trying to, every generation, everyone, what?
In every generation, they tell us what to do. It was the Ottoman, and then it was the British. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it doesn't make a difference. I can be in the land of Eretz Israel, but I still don't have the freedom to do what I want. And I think that's what they're trying to do now in Eretz Israel, that you see that there is the left and there is the right. I don't want to go to politics.
Sure.
And it's not for us here to try to decide who's right, who's wrong. It's not. That show is not about politics. But what I'm trying to tell you, if we don't have amongst ourselves peace and harmony and we don't have unity, that's the difficult part.
There's a thing called, in our law, in our courts, and this is a very big thing with us, it's compromise. There's got to be, and it's not easy because there's two sides of the coin. Is it right or is it wrong? And it's very hard to compromise the right and wrong. What Torah tells you is right. If you're doing not what Torah tells, it's wrong, and it's very hard. But there has to be a stepping stone somewhere to allow to integrate the Torah way. There must be a stepping stone, and without compromise at one stage, it's not going to happen.
I tell you where's the problem. The problem becomes that we don't respect each other enough. I don't have to agree with your opinion, and I say that all the time. I don't have to agree. You love to drive, for example, certain car. I don't like those cars. I love to wear certain clothes. You don't like to wear those certain clothes.
Yep.
I have to respect you. I don't have to agree with you. You understand the difference?
That's the strength. That's the strength of a nation. And the strength is when you respect and you can still disagree. You've got to. That's how you develop. That's how you grow. Anyway, that's a byway.
That's what the Torah tells us.
Yeah.
No? Okay. I hope that you enjoy, guys, the show. Any more questions? Sorry. Any more questions? No more question. Any question? Bechavod? I see Brian unmuting himself.
Yeah.
Brian, you wanted to ask question? Bechavod?
Rabbi, the one thing that I kind of understood, or maybe from reading the Midrash, it was saying there that because Pharaoh, although the Jews were in slavery, Pharaoh over-exaggerated and the punishment was extreme, and therefore the years were mitigated because of the severity that Pharaoh brought across the Jews. Is that not partial an explanation of why they were able to take out before?
Okay. So first of all, what the Midrash tell us, first of all, it's a brilliant question, Brian. It's a beautiful question. The Midrash, let me just explain what Brian said. Brian said the Midrash tell us that the main reason that the children of Israel can leave earlier Egypt because it was the hard slavery that Pharaoh put on the Jewish people. And now maybe it's time to develop the word hard slavery. What does it mean, hard slavery? It's not just the physical slavery. It's the slavery that what they done in Egypt, they took the job of a woman and given it to the male. And the job of a male, they given it to the female. That means that suddenly they took the female and tell them, you're going to mix the mortar, you're going to lay bricks. And those hard work, that's what it's called avodat power. Okay, so the Midrash say what caused to hurry up the releasing of the Jewish people from the land of Egypt instead of 400 years, it's 210 because of that. But that still doesn't contradict that's why they couldn't stay there. Because by that they was in such hard slavery, that's what caused them to be blind and not to see the downfall that they was in, that they reached to the 49 level of impurity. And because they didn't keep their tradition, it was a free jump for them. You follow what I'm saying, Brian? So one doesn't contradict the others, not at all. I don't think that there is a contradiction. I think that what's happened by that the children of Israel was so deep involved with the slavery, they forgot about the tradition, about the Torah, about the mitzvot that they have to do. Beseder, Brian? I hope that I answer your question. Any other question? Bechavod.
Hello, it's Anthony. How are you?
I see that you want to ask.
Yeah, I'm here.
Baruch
Can you hear
Hashem.
me?
Yes, Anthony.
we'll remember the going out of Egypt
hear
when
you,
the
yes.
Mashiach comes. Is that according to everybody? Everyone agrees we'll remember when the Mashiach comes, we'll still talk about the going out of Egypt? Or do some people say not when the Mashiach comes?
So Hazal say in the Gemara, כל החגים עתידים להתבטל חוץ מפורים וחנוכה. That means Hazal telling us that all the festival that we're celebrating gonna be cancelled. Why?
Yes.
What are we celebrating Pesach for? To remind us what's happened in Egypt, to remind us the great miracle. How HaKadosh Baruch Hu redeemed us from Egypt with such a stretched arm, with such a glory. Okay? But when we're gonna be redeemed, what are you gonna talk about? The Exodus of Egypt? You need to speak about the new Exodus. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
The Exodus of Egypt gonna be too old to speak about it. Sitting in a sukkah while you was in the wilderness, what's the Hidush? Now I'm sitting in Bet HaMikdash. All of those to keep us, to give us what we call it a vitamin C, not to lose their hope. The same like HaKadosh Baruch Hu redeemed the Jewish people from Egypt, He's gonna redeem us. The same like HaKadosh Baruch Hu took him inside the cloud of glory, that's why we're sitting in a sukkah. Now we're not gonna be in that. We're gonna sit on a tent or Rosh Leviathan. So what, we're gonna speak of the past that already passed, and we in the future that we have Mashiach and everything. There's not gonna be those festivals. You follow Anthony? Okay?
Yes, I see. Yes.
Okay.
So why Purim will we remember?
Oh, because Purim, it was a miracle that been done to do. We come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with love. That means He redeemed us because we done tshuva in love. It was a spiritual and physical together. That usually in Yom Kippur, what do? We fast. We don't eat. We don't drink. We don't do certain things. Kama Kadosh Baruch Hu tell us that's in a spiritual level you become so high. Now I want to see how you're going to become at a higher level spiritually when it's physical. And that's what's happening in Purim, that we're eating, we have a Sauda, okay? We give in Matanot La'evyonim, okay? We give in Mishloach Manot, unity between people, love, Matanot La'evyonim, it's love between us and fellow friends, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that means we're connecting three elements together, okay? Reading the Megillah, in a day and at night and during the day. By that, we're connecting all of those elements together, that it's physical, and we're showing HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a dough that we're eating, a dough that we're drinking. You told us to drink, but we're not losing the spirituality. And that's what Hazal say, that people, when they drink, they have to know how to drink. Not to do a stupid thing to embarrass other people, to cause other people to feel uncomfortable. To drink and still on a spiritual level. That you reach to a level that you don't know between Haman and Mordechai, the difference between Arur, Haman, and Baruch Mordechai, on a spiritual level. You still keep the spirituality, although that it's physical. I'm eating, I'm drinking, and I'm still besimcha. Beseder?
Yeah, thanks very much.
Pleasure, pleasure. Any other question, Rabotai?
I'd just like to ask one more question. I hope it's not too loaded. Would we,
Sure.
when we Is it when we redeem ourselves from the Egypt in us, would Mashiach come, or will Hashem redeem us when Mashiach comes?
So the Gemara, very, very good question. The Gemara saying, these two options that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will come. Be'ita, and it's time, or be'achishena. Achishena, it's quickly. That means we can speed the redemption. By that we get rid of the Egypt that we have on us. We're going to get rid the states that we have on us. United States, Europe, whatever you want to call it. All of those physical things. Or be'ita. You're going to take your time. Going to reach a time that I'm going to take you. Chazal say, Yavi aleim melech. You're going to bring on him a king like Haman. Mevi aleim melech kmo Haman. Ve'osim tshuva. That means will come a difficult time that he will bring on him such a king that's going to put him in such a situation, the same like Haman put the Jewish people in Persia. That he say that you have 11 months, and in 11 months, we're going to destroy, kill all the Jews. And then the Jewish people do tshuva. So we have two options. Let's hope that the Jewish people are going to take the Egypt out of them, the physicality, that all of those adoption that we adopt. When I say adoption, I'm talking about all of those customs that we have. And instead, putting our energy into our Torah, into our mitzvot, to kindness, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu then have kindness and mercy on us, and will redeem us before time. You follow, Jeffrey?
Yes, perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Rav.
Okay. Good. Okay.
Oh,
Rabotai, have a good night. Have a beautiful week. Be'ezrat Hashem, we're not going to have load shedding this coming Thursday. We'll do Parshat HaShavua, Be'ezrat Hashem. In the meantime, have a beautiful week. Look after yourself. I hope that you enjoy the show, the new Hidushim, and I hope that you're going to write it and say it on the Seder night. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night,
Erev
Rob.
Tov.
Thank you.
Kol
Sure,
Tov.
Have a
Good
wonderful
night.
night.
Bye.